the voice of Alabama politics, with your host, Bill Brett. Now, the #1 political show in Alabama, The V.
Courthouse at day one of the Michael Hubbard felony criminal trial. I'm Bill Brett.
I'm Susan Brett.
We're here with APR and the V. Today, Susan, Matt Hart, we saw a different Matt Hart who came across as calm, methodical as he laid out his opening statements. He took him through a civics lesson, an ethics lesson, and then showed him what the charges were. I mean, it was a different Matt Hart, wasn't it?
It was. He was very methodical. He took an hour and 50 minutes to explain everything to the jury. This is one of my concerns was that the jury would not understand what our viewers and us understand about this political process and these political animals and how they work. Matt Hart took it from here's the 3 levels of government or the 3 branches of government and broke it down to this is what is a lobbyist, this is what is ethics law, and this is what is violation of ethics law. So they got an hour and 50 minutes of that from a very cool, methodical, prepared Matt Hart.
And he looked great. He looked comfortable.
He did.
He looked comfortable. Bill Baxley, by contrast, came out like a gunslinger and just started firing off the top of his head. I mean, he was like a man with his hair on fire for a while.
He walked in there, he had a napkin where he'd written all his notes on it, made sure that the jury saw that it was on a napkin, and, as though he was just preparing for it. And, while Bill Baxley is a very colorful character, if I have to hear, I'm excited for you to meet, or I'm excited for you to see this witness one more time like he was. Thank God for those tapes in the Barry Moore trial. He was doing the same thing today.
Well, it was a very interesting couple of hours on opening remarks. Joey Kennedy, our Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, is here today. We'd like to get Joey's take on the contrast between Baxley and Hart. Joey,
it's good to be here.
It's a live update here.
Yes, good to be here.
So you write a lot of colorful things. You look at people and how they act. What did you see today with Hart and Baxley?
I thought Hart did an especially good job, Bill, because he kept it simple. He kept it very accessible for the jury, and they were able to, I believe, understand exactly what he was trying to tell them. Baxley, on the other hand, kind of seemed unprepared, which may have been the impression he wanted to leave, because that's what he has been arguing, that's what the defense has been arguing into the court anyway, is that we're just not ready to do this yet.
It was certainly a contrast in styles. One very calm, very collected, the other one scattershot all over.
That's right. And Baxley had some lapses in memory, it seemed like, in his opening statement. But when he was doing his cross-examinations of the 2 witnesses that they had on this, the prosecution had on the stand today, he was pretty sharp.
He was very sharp. Well, it was certainly the right place to be today, and I can't wait to see your column that comes out tomorrow.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me write for you.
Oh, you're wonderful. Susan, you want to join me for just one more second? Before we wrap up here today, we want to talk a little bit about the testimony of John Ross and Tim Howell. John Ross used to be the executive director of the ALGOP under Mike Hubbard, and he talked, Susan, a little bit about how they funneled the money from the ALGOP to Network Creative Media, also to Hubbard, that was owned by Hubbard, also to Craftmaster, and at one point they used the third party, which is Majority Strategies, to funnel $700,000 to this company and then back to Mike Hubbard. Bill Baxley says it's not a crime.
He says it's not a crime, but the prosecution was well prepared with the checks that went from the ALGOP to Craftmasters and Network Creative to Majority Strategies, thank you, I've said that a million times, and pointed out each one, and I mean, we're talking about multiple exhibits, multiple checks that were given to these companies. Bill Baxley says that wasn't illegal, however, it kind of brings some, when you get in there that you're shuffling money through the Howell Group to get back to Network Creative Media, you got problems.
One of the things that Tim Howell said is that he received money from the ALGOP that he turned around and gave to Mike Hubbard, and he took 15% off the top, and when he asked what it was for, he said for nothing.
Actually, he took 5% off the top.
5%.
The normal is 15%,
right,
but he took 5%. But the point there is, he would have taken 15% had he actually performed the work. In his own words, he said he didn't. Network Creative Media make those buys. So he took 5% for basically just funneling the money from the ALGOP to Network Creative Media.
One of the more interesting things, Tim Howe was questioned about his lobbying group's involvement with American Pharmacy Cooperative Inc. American Pharmacy Cooperative Inc. is also one of the charges where Speaker Mike Hubbard directed 23 words be placed in the Medicaid budget that would have awarded API, as they're known, a $20 million a year contract to provide Medicaid prescription drugs. Tim Howell said when they found out that Speaker Hubbard was lobbying for that group, what did his group do?
Here's what happened. The day that the budget was actually out there with the Medicaid language in it, John Ross got wind from Farrell Patrick that Speaker Hubbard had a contract with APCI. He immediately recognized a problem, and this is according to both Ross and Howell's testimony. They both saw a problem. They had a meeting. In Tim Howell's words, well, that was an ethics problem for all of us. So what the Howell group did, or SAR at the time, they actually severed ties with Farrell Patrick within 2 days because of this problem, and eventually within the next few weeks severed all ties with them because they were concerned about ethical problems. Tim Howell said that in his actual statement on the jury, to the jury today.
It looked like it was a good day for the prosecution, but Bill Bexley had a good time with John Ross. He did seem to get that going very well. Tim Howell, on the other hand, was a totally different case where he, just a reluctant witness, threw Hubbard right under the bus.
He did it. He was very hesitant in almost every question he was asked, whether it was by the prosecution or the defense. He chose his words very carefully, but yet in the end it came down to, yes, I took the money, took 5% to pass it on to Network Creative just as pass-through money, and yes, the APCI, there was an ethics problem there.
Well, this is Bill Britt.
This is Susan Britt.
Reporting live from the Lee County Courthouse, day one of the Mike Hubbard corruption trial.
Until tomorrow.